Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Plan Man. I'm your host, Bruce Weinstein, and our format is everything you wanted to know about insurance, finance, and investments, but were afraid to ask. Today, I have health insurance guru Joe Krivelow joining me, and we're going to bring you some topical information and do's and don'ts in regards to health insurance. Welcome, Joe.
Good morning, Bruce. It's great to be here.
Just give a quick intro about you, your business, and your years of experience so people kind of have a sense of why we have you on, why I think you're a guru in the space.
All right. Let's see. So I have had my insurance license for 28 years. I have had a focus in the health insurance space for now 17 and a half, 18 years. The majority of my business is individuals and small business owners, businesses say up to 50. We do larger than that, but that's our focus is really on the small guys, because that's who we are, right? And we want to help them. We have learned an awful lot over the years. As the biggest thing I think is that people don't understand what's going on. The government's always changing things. They're getting involved in my business on a regular basis. Absolutely. And all that does is confuse my customer. And so I guess it's biggest thing that
it's a constant moving target, and just when you think you have it down, they move it again, right?
With 100% certainty. And that, I joke, it's good for business, but it does. It confuses the customer. So that's the message that we deliver to our customers. First and foremost, we need them to understand what's out there, what their options are, and give them the ability to choose. Right. Not just what they hear on television.
From our perspective, you're doing this way longer than we are. We're in the business a long time, but we're fairly newer to the health insurance space. And the biggest thing I stress to everybody is you need to know your options, and you need to review what you have. Regardless of what insurance it is or investments you have, you need to be attentive and mind your own shop, right? And the biggest challenge I find is people just don't pay attention.
Well, that's very true. Even, we make jokes sometimes that when the policy comes in the mail, we all take it and throw it in the junk drawer, right? We only worry about what's in there when we need it. And so what we try to do, and I know that you try to do, is we educate our customers up front on how this plan's going to work when you need it, because they all work great if you don't get sick or hurt.
Right.
The question is, how do they work when you do?
And it's usually too late once it happens if you haven't done it properly. It's always too late.
It's always too late. And that's why we have to do it right up front. And that's the key. I
was going to share, I use the term apathy, and I don't mean to put anybody down in the sense, but other things get in the way, right? Life gets in the way, and other things become the priority. And so one of the stories I share is we had some clients. We're in South Florida now. I know you're up in the Midwest, and we have a lot of transplants, coming down from the Northeast. And we had a family come down from New York, and they've been in the South Florida area for over 4 years. And we got introduced to them, and he was sharing with us how frustrated and annoyed he was with his health insurance plan. And I said, well, what do you have? Show me what you got, and da-da-da. And well, he kept his New York plan. Okay, so he's complaining about the rates, and more importantly, he says, and nobody down here takes it. And I'm like, brother, it's a New York plan. You need to see the doctors up in New York. He never realized that. And again, for everybody else, the so what in this story is your health insurance is usually regionally based into a network of some kind. Right? Whether you're on a private pay, the marketplace, a group plan, whatever it is, it's very jurisdiction based, right?
Well, and that's very true, but it's also important for us to know that customer. So I travel often. I think I spend more days on an airplane than I do in my home. And so I need a plan that's not regionally based, and they exist. And those are the things where people don't necessarily realize. They don't know what they have, but everybody thinks that they want to do it on their own. one of the misconceptions is that it costs money to do business with us. And there is no charge for our service on the health insurance side, and people will ask on a regular basis,
That's right.
what does it cost to use your service? And my answer is the same. It costs nothing to use us, but it could cost you an absolute fortune not to, because I've got 28 years of experience. So let me share that with you. I know the changes. I know what's going on, and
I think people
and that's
are
an
afraid.
important part of the process for us.
Yeah, I think people are afraid that
use
there's going to be that booby trap of, oh, this guy just sent me a bill. I've had plenty of clients after the conversation, well, what do I owe you for today? And so I try and be very clear and upfront is, look, it costs you nothing to work with us, and it could cost you more not to work with us, right?
Well, it usually does.
Right. The panic stricken, oh my God, my coverage just dropped. I didn't know I had to renew it, or a multitude of others. So let me just put the rubber stamp on this guy from New York, just for the listeners out there so they understand what happened here. So this person now got a rate increase of over 15%. Shocker, rates go up every year. They don't go down. And now he's pushing $3,500 a month for a family of 4 for his New York, doesn't cover anything down here in Florida. And finally, he vomited enough to say, I need to do something else, right? He was screaming uncle. And we put him in, as you're describing, a plan that is an open network, multi-state, going to give him a lot more options, a lot more affordability. We saved him $30,000 a year. $30,000. We went from $3,500 to $1,000 a month for 12 grand. And
that is a nice investable.
Yeah, I mean, and this person's, he's not an elderly, couple. They've got children in high school, and they're still young and investing. He's got real estate properties and other things. And I'm like, what could you have done with the $100,000 if you called us 4 years ago? Like, that's a lot of money you're going to be saving for the next so many years, right?
Well, and you don't say that to make them feel bad. You say that so that there are other people. There's a lot of other people in that situation.
That's right.
And
that's right.
I just want them to reach out to us. You know, one of us.
Well, in this person's case, I think he told us he had like 8 or 10 siblings, and the phone definitely started ringing after we helped him. Every sibling was like, I just heard from my brother, and it's like, can you look at ours? And some we could, and some we couldn't. But that's not the point. The point is that you want them to at least ask for a review, right? That's what we stress the most. So I have another story to bring in, and I think the format for this is to share anecdotes and stories that people can relate to. And this happened within the family. This happened to my stepson, Matt, and he made a job transition from the end of last year, and he put in his notice. He works for one of the hotel chains down here, and he was changing properties, and as such, he was going to lose his benefits at the one and had a 30-day waiting period on the new one, but he didn't tell us this. Okay, we didn't have any conversation. He made his own decisions. He did his own thing. So when he got the offer for the promotion at the other property, and his employer knew he was going to be changing and leaving, but he gave his 2 weeks notice as he should, right? We raised him the right way. And so heading into New Year's, I think literally New Year's Eve was a Friday, right? This past year. And then Monday morning, he's going to go to the new job, right? Well, this is for the audience now. Guess what happened at the stroke of midnight on the 31st? His health insurance just ended, because the month was over. He had only paid for the month. He was not involved for the January, renewal month, right? He didn't pay into it. He left. And now he walks into his new job, and he's not insured for 30 days. There's a 30-day wait before he can enroll for February 1st. Okay? So the so what, right? We want to talk about the so whats. The so what is, if you're going to change jobs, folks, pay attention to the details in regards to your benefits and when that expiration may occur, how fast your other programs are going to kick in. And if nothing else, you work with somebody like Joe or myself to make sure you have the gap covered if nothing else is available, right? So
right. Yeah, and people don't know that that's an option.
Again, on the private plan side, we can do stuff as small as 1 month, right? You can just fill that gap if you need. So don't be naked, don't have nothing, because certainly it's, always going to be an unexpected, expense is the problem. So, any stories to share? Anything off the top of your head?
Well, I mean, look, I've been doing this for a long time. I've got a million different stories. The ones that always come to mind are the ones that people either didn't pay attention to the details or knew the details because we educated them and chose not to do something. In the stories that I have, unfortunately, people got harmed. I have a woman who retired early and was offered.
Let me stop you there. Let me not to cut you off, but let's explain what Cobra is to those who don't know. That's on my list today to make sure we elaborate a little bit. So let's just.
Okay. So Cobra is an offer of continuation of benefits. So if you are terminated from a position involuntarily and you have group coverage, they have to offer you Cobra. You no longer get the company subsidy, so you have to pay 100% of that premium. So it is typically, well, it's actually 102% of that premium, and it's typically extremely expensive. And if you voluntarily leave, some companies will offer it to you and some companies won't. The fact of the matter is, they have to offer this coverage to you for 18 months. Okay, at that point you are on your own. This woman saw this and had sticker shock because it was $820 a month and she was paying $300 a month prior. So that's when I got the phone call from her, and she was only 8 months away from Medicare. Okay, so she was going to age into 65 in 8 months. And I went through her options with her on a private market plan, and this woman was going to pay about $350 a month for a plan. I'll be honest, it was a catastrophic plan in nature because that's what she had asked for. She wanted the big stuff covered: heart attack, stroke, cancer, things like that, right? And so I offered her this plan, and she said, okay, let me think about it. And then a month later, I called her again, and she said, you know what, I'm going to wait a little bit. Now, this woman was not hurting financially. She chose an earlier retirement because she could. On month 3, I called her, and she said, okay, Joe, let's do it in 2 weeks. So I scheduled an appointment with her, and I called her 2 weeks later, and there was no answer, and I got a call back from her son. The Friday before our appointment, the woman ended up in the emergency room. Her potassium levels had dropped to an incredibly low level. She got rushed in. She almost passed away, but the potassium level drop was because she was diagnosed with cancer. And she had no insurance coverage until she aged in. So she had to take, because we stayed in contact, she had to take $120,000 out of her retirement for her treatment for the next 6 months until she could get on Medicare. Why? Because she wanted to save $600. It just doesn't always make sense. Insurance is here. Insurance designed to pay for the things we cannot afford to pay for ourselves. And we don't love to pay for insurance. I'm an insurance broker. I hate paying for insurance. But we have to have it, and you can't buy it when it's too late. You cannot drive around without car insurance, drive your car into a wall, and then call Flo and say, hey, Flo, I'll give you $300, fix my $35,000 dent that I have in my car. It doesn't work that way. There wouldn't be insurance companies, right? And we would all have to fend for ourselves. So you have to have that preparation. Make sure that you do things to your comfort level, but don't go naked. That's a scary thing. I tell people, listen, your plan doesn't start till tomorrow. Stay home tonight and wrap yourself in bubble wrap.
Yeah, penny wise and dollar foolish, right? It's amazing what people. Yeah, that's terrible. But yet you wonder why or what motivates somebody or what they're afraid of, or, we can only do so much. And that I'm sure your heart sank when you heard this. And it's not a matter of you didn't get the business. It's now knowing and understanding, because you're vested in her emotionally. And now you're like, oh my God, we could have avoided that. And why didn't you, why'd you wait so long? But this.
Well, it's funny. When I first started in the business, it was all about getting more business, right? I've been around long enough that, of course, I want new business and we want to grow. But if somebody chooses not to do anything,
Yeah.
my mindset has completely changed. I will literally tell people, if they choose not to, make that decision and actually do something, I hope you stay healthy. If you don't, I need you to realize that you are going to be in a heap of it. Okay. I'll get this line all the time, Bruce. Oh, I don't plan on going to the hospital. Today I'm in St. Louis. So when I'm in St. Louis and I hear that line, I say, okay, do me a favor. Go to Barnes Jewish Hospital Network is the big bad hospital network here in St. Louis. The best heart doctor, the best cancer doctors, all that stuff, and they have campuses all over the city. And I said, do me a favor, go down to Big Barnes, which is the large hospital, and I don't know, there's probably 800-900 beds. And I said, do me a favor. Stay out of the maternity ward and walk around to the rest of all the beds and ask how many people in there.
I scheduled my heart attack today at 3 o'clock. I had it on my calendar. I have a heart attack right here.
Yeah, exactly. We're preparing for the unexpected, and so I want to be able to help people. When people don't allow me to help them, I actually sometimes I get a little nervous. I get passionate about it, and sometimes I'm going to tell them. I will tell them for no personal gain at all. But man, you better take care of this, whether you do it with me or not, because that's when the wrong stuff happens. When you are unprepared. When you're prepared, we don't get sick. We don't
Murphy's Law.
You want to stay really healthy, have insurance.
I coined the phrase intendant, or the word intendant. So to me, it's the opposite of accident, right? Everything in this regard to insurance, like you mentioned auto, is, if you had an accident, if somebody cut you off, if you didn't see that, person breaking in front of you, whatever it is, but you didn't intend to hit them. You didn't intend to have that heart attack. You didn't intend to get sick and fall off the ladder. You didn't intend to get COVID, right? So intendant is my coined phrase for the opposite of accident. And so you need to protect yourselves in any walk of insurance, whatever it is. But the drawback is, as you've experienced, is we are a very heavy society on insurance, and people have to prioritize and understand their exposures, because you can go broke, right? I mean, you could overinsure, and you don't need $50 million of life insurance, and you need your disability, and you need your long-term care, and you need your auto and your home and your umbrella, and people can drown. And so our jobs is to help them mitigate through the noise and say, look, you need to have this for this, you need to have this for that. We'll transition you over to this later. You'll move into Medicare when this occurs,
Well, and that's where all those important decisions come in for our clients, and giving them different options. So, for instance, I have a lot of clients that are like myself, and they hate paying for insurance. All right, but they know that they need it. So now we have to make a decision and decide, okay, what do you want to insure against? And what I mean by that is, most people think of health insurance as, I get a copay when I go to the doctor, I go to the emergency room, I pay $250, and I pay $2,500 if I go into the hospital, something along those lines, okay? And that's all well and good, but a plan like that is going to be, say, relatively expensive. And a lot of people don't realize, hey, you know what? I think I'm good. I've been pretty healthy. I don't want to lose my stuff if something happens. Is there something where I can pay the first $10,000 and the insurance company will pay everything else?
That's right.
And you can save an awful lot of money by having a plan like that, a catastrophic style plan, but yet you are protected. I mean, look, the average bout of cancer in this country is $462,000. That's average, okay? So if God goes easy on you, it's 300 grand. If it gets tough, it's a couple of $1 million. But the average is over $460,000. If you had a $10,000 bill and the insurance company paid $452,000 for your plan that cost you, say, for an individual, $350 a month,
Absolutely.
you feel like you got your money's worth.
How do you say no to that? Right.
I would say so.
Right.
How do you say no to that? And so that might make it easier for somebody else to carry the life insurance that they need as well, or the long-term care disability coverage, because we need these things. But there's only so much left in that bucket. And so that risk tolerance for our clientele is important for us to determine. If my customer does not have the ability to come up with $10,000 in that, God forbid, situation, then we need to have their exposure be less, and we'll do that.
100%.
That's where the evaluation comes.
It's you need to know how much you can absorb, what people are willing to take on. We use the term self-insure, right? When somebody's saying, I want that $10,000 on my plate, and I'm willing to absorb that first to save on the premium, they're self-insuring. Some people don't have the $10,000 and they don't want it. But again, as we've framed it, is you're going to either prepay or you pay as you go. And for us, it's, again, getting the history of the family and what's gone on, and, you know, understanding their situation. If everybody's got a clean bill of health, never seeing their doctors, don't have a lot of demands for a health plan system yet, a high deductible plan could be a great way to save some money, because the likelihood of them triggering that, and then you and I put the unknown protection features around it, and we just leave them narrowly focused on what I call, you know, the routine care, which if a guy tells me he hasn't been to the doctor in 3 years, you know, then you don't need a copay plan and overspend on the insurance, right?
Well, right. So, you know, on a couple things that people don't realize. Number one, you have a copay plan. If you have that, you are typically paying over $100 per visit to the doctor because you've built so much into the premium. The other thing that I just want to touch on is you know, what you talked about in some of those. I call them ancillary products. What did you call them?
Oh, like the critical illness
You
accident
said something
plan.
about, like, you know,
For the unexpecteds, right?
Yeah.
Versus routine. It's routine versus unexpected.
Unexpecteds. Okay. So those have been the most important piece to the success of my career. I'm going to probably mess you up a little bit here, but I'm going to move my camera over to that bulletin board. That is a mess. That bulletin board is a mess because those are thank you notes from my customers that have used their plans. So that doesn't happen. And it happens all the time because, again, it's protecting for the unexpected. So one of those thank you notes. So this woman, Mary, calls me up on the phone to cancel her health insurance plan. She had a health insurance plan with United Healthcare, and she called to cancel. I said, Mary, you are 62 years old. You got 2.5 years left on this. What are you doing? And she goes on to tell me that Rufus, who is her husband, Rufus went in for a routine surgery on his leg and had a stroke on the table. He couldn't work. He was wheelchair bound. I had been to their home, and he couldn't get in and out. They had 5 steps to get in and out of the house. She said, I'm worried about getting Rufus in and out of the house. I have to figure out how to pay for a ramp. I cannot pay for this health insurance. So I said, Mary, hold on a second. And I went back and I pulled up Mary's file and I said, Mary, as part of your entire premium, you've been paying for something called critical illness. I'm going to send you a form. You need to fill out the form and have have Rufus's doctor sign it. And in 30 days, you're going to get a check for $20,000. And there was a silence. And she speaks and she's all broken up and you can hear that she's crying. She said, Joe, please tell me that you are not joking with me. I said, Mary, with 100% certainty, I am not. She got the form filled out. 32 days later, she got a check for $20,000. She kept her health insurance. She built Rufus a ramp, and Joe got a fruit basket.
Absolutely.
And
I'm getting
That's the
goosebumps. I mean,
stuff
that's a goosebump story.
feels so good. It changed her life. They've been paying, in that instance, because they were in their 60s, they've been paying for that $20,000, $89 a month for the two of them on this plan.
Right. She didn't even know she had
that they forgot about.
Yeah.
You know, they've been with me for a few years.
Right.
She didn't even know it was just coming out of her checking account. She didn't know it was there anymore, even though I described it to her when we sat down a few years before, and it literally saved her and Rufus.
That's impactful.
That's what that
There's our so what
is all about.
There's our so what,
right? It really.
Let's rubber stamp it. We said let's make sure we leave the audience with the so what, and that is definitely a so what and a so why, right? A so why. Like why are we doing this? Why are we, again, I'm going to say this on this show regularly. I have nothing to sell, just problems to solve. And so our job is to educate our clients and prospective clients on the what ifs and the pitfalls and the whys. Why do you need this? What are you up against? And this is why we recommend this. And yes, it may not be, something you had thought about or part of a budget or extend your budget a little bit, but this is why. And so kudos to you because you have been steadfast in your message on getting people the right package. It's a package. And it is a la carte, and it is something that you can modify and change, everybody. It's not one size fits all. And that's the key. And maybe that's some of the differences of the marketplace, and we're going to run out of time today. So, A, let me thank you right now. We'll start to bring it to a close as our half hour is approaching. B, love to have you back, because certainly we could talk for days, not just hours. So, but let me just do my little bit for the audience out there. Please make sure you check the description below in your podcast, our contact information, Joe's contact information. Come to the website, asktheplanman.com. Send us your questions. Come on the show and be a guest. Like, share the podcast. Any closing thoughts? Anything? The
only thing, I'll kind of bring this full circle from the beginning of our discussion. Make sure you know what you have. Make sure that you understand it.
That's right.
And come to a professional to just ask for a review. Look, if somebody's not going to give you an unbiased free review, then they're not a real pro in the business, and come to one of us and we will. But find somebody that will, and just understand what you have. Then your danger is going forward. And that's the most important thing, to understand what you have and feel comfortable with it, because the most important thing is that you understand 3 words about all of the plans that you have in this world, and that is how it works. If you understand how it works.
Well, there's our so what, everybody. How it works. Understand what you have. Remember, ask the plan man. Everything you wanted to know about insurance, finance, and investments, but are afraid to ask. Thank you again, Joe Krivelow. Everybody enjoy their day, and we'll see you here again on Ask the Plan Man.
When you need some advice, never sacrifice, always get it right. Ask the Plan Man. Finance, insurance, and more.